Hi, everyone. We've hit the 11 o'clock mark. We'll give people just a couple more minutes to filter in. In the meantime, we can take care of a little bit of housekeeping. Just so you know, this meeting is being recorded. There's a possibility we'll post this on our YouTube channel. If you are interested in asking questions or have any feedback, you can type those out in the chat, and we'll address any questions at the end of the demo. After this is over, I'm going to send everyone who's attending an email that has a link to our landing page for AssetLink, which has some extra resources and links to the download sites, the YouTube features and functions video, and also the registration page, which you'll need. If you haven't used AssetLink in the past, you'll need to register to get access. So we'll get started here in just about 1 minute. All right, well, I think we're just about ready to get started. For those that just entered, just have to let you know this webinar is being recorded. Any questions can be entered into the chat and will be followed up at the end of the demo. So to start, I want to say thank you for attending and thank you for your interest in Eurofins TestOil's AssetLink mobile sampling app. A little bit of background on this app and why we developed it. We'd had some versions of this app in the past that carried out the function of linking sample bottles to database information around machines, but we've spent the last couple of years taking in feedback from you, our customers, and after a lot of conversations, we decided we wanted this to be a little bit more. We wanted a tool that kind of works within a process, and the process is your greater reliability program. We wanted something to complement our program web portal data site. So there's some pieces that work in conjunction with data site, in addition to all the standalone features. And one of the most common feedbacks that we received was we need something to improve our workflow and improve the efficiency of our communication, whether it's communication from you, the end user, to TestOil regarding information about the machines, the assets in the program, the lubricants they use, et cetera, or from us to you, which would be report results, program trends, alerts. And then there was some opportunity also for us to help you communicate within your own organization about this program and the work that's carried out to facilitate an oil analysis program. And another feedback we received that was pretty significant was we would like to do everything digitally and paperlessly. So with those two things in mind, efficiency, well, really three things: efficiency, communication, and paperless. We've designed and rolled out our new version of AssetLink. So this also, a happy accident or so of going paperless, also helps us. It helps us build efficiency into our own processes as far as processing samples goes, so we can maintain our same-day turnaround and focus on generating value and new products for you. So using AssetLink is a win all around. With that said, give me 1 moment and I'm going to start up the app and I'm going to show you, I'm going to demo this live from my phone. All right, hello world. So this is AssetLink, and like any other app, there is a login screen. You're going to see you don't necessarily need to be logged in to scan a sample. That's one feature we built in. But like any other app, there's a login. You're going to need to register with us beforehand, which I'd mentioned earlier, but that's a very smooth and easy process. That's to give you security and also to ensure that you are logging in and have access to the correct account. So anyways, we enter our username and password and log in. And this customer or this customer account is Strongsville Beer Company. So we're just going to select that. You saw that blip there for just a split second. And this is going to happen the first time you log in. When you first log in, you do have to be connected to the internet, and there will be a loading screen. And this goes pretty quickly after that very first login, but it might take 10 seconds up to maybe a minute, depending on the size of your account, whether there are pictures associated with your machines. But once you get past that loading screen, you saw how quickly it loads after that initial login. So just be forewarned, the very first time there will be a moment or two to load. But what you're looking at right now is our dashboard screen. So you log in and you immediately come to a dashboard that's going to give you some quick information kind of on the status of your program. You can see if you have plants, which are part of the hierarchy within our database for your machines. Plants might be sub areas within a site or individual sites themselves. In this case, we have Mustang Brew Works is the site within Strongsville Beer Company. So you underneath the plant area, you can see date filters. We default to the previous year's worth of samples for this dashboard, and then you see a condition summary. And if you're one of our customers and you're familiar with our reports, you know that all of the data and the testing boils down to a lubricant condition and a machine condition. So the status of this program is displayed real quickly here. Here are the lube conditions and the machine conditions for the assets in the program that were sampled within that last year's date range. And if we scroll down, we can see that in that time period, there were 7 assets sampled and there were 2 unsampled. And among those samples that were submitted in that time period, these are the most common problems listed right there. And then for the sake of identifying assets and using the app, we have tagged and untagged assets. And this will make a little bit more sense here in a second. So core function of the app is to link asset information to samples. And you do that, you can see that menu on the bottom, home, routes, assets, and links. We're going to go to the links page. And this is what the links page looks like. The very first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to link our machine to the app. And you can do that a few different ways. This is an asset tag. And so this tag has already been linked to a machine. You can see it scanned the QR code pretty quickly there. So that's the machine. We have brought up this machine information. If we click back on the top left, you can also look up a machine. We can also look up a machine. If you click inside that select an asset field, it brings you up to this list of your machines here. If you want to search, we just click in the search bar there and begin typing. And there's a predictive search that brings up the machines based on our search criteria. You can search by the machine name or by the equipment ID within our database. Both of those fields work. So then to select the machine, you just tap it. And now we're going to want to link to a sample bottle. We have QR code labels that the beauty of these labels is that if you're out in the field, we're going to send you these bottles pre-labeled, and all you need to do is carry the box of bottles out into the field. You don't need to write anything on these labels. Everything is encoded into those QR codes. So you now say we have a machine and we have a bottle ID. So these are linked. Now, this page here, this links page, this is where we're going to enter any information that we would normally write onto a sample label. And here's the beauty of the process. So asset hours and fluid hours, that could be miles or kilometers as well. We can enter this information here. Their sample source rating is something that our analysts use or that you can use to indicate the quality of the data in the sample. As you click these stars here, it gives you a brief description of what each one means. Underneath that is a geolocation. This is a pretty slick feature that we built into the app. Every time you link a sample to a machine, the geolocation is captured. Now, we're not using this yet, but a future feature is going to be that you approach a geolocation and based on previous samples, the list of assets is going to pre-populate for you. But in the meantime, we are capturing the geolocation of a sample. If you have any comments specific to the machine or that you would like to show up on the sample report, this is where you would enter them here. Say we walked up on this machine and the hatch was open. So if the sample is dirty, we might know why. This is the fluid in use. And if that can be changed and updated through the app, and if there was a recent oil change, you can also indicate that here. Now you see this big blue button on the bottom, add to trip report. This is a feature that we added around communication for your teams. So it was asked of us if we could generate some kind of a report around a sampling job. And that's what we did here. When you click on add to trip report, you have several new fields open up. And this gives the user the opportunity to enter information specific to a sample. And all this information is going to populate on a report that's going to be generated in PDF form and can then be emailed out after a sampling route or an inspection route has been completed. So here's another space to enter notes. You can select an equipment status if it was running not running clean or dirty. And here you can make observations. Woo. So we pre-populated a list here with some common issues that might be cited. You can hand enter notes here, and then underneath it, you can add a picture. And all of these are going to populate on this report at the end of the sampling job. So you can either take a photo directly from the camera, or you can choose a photo from the photo library. If for some reason you cannot sample the machine, you can also cite that here. And this was a requested feature. Sometimes you walk up on a machine, or sometimes you can't walk up on a machine. Sometimes there's construction, you can't access a machine. Sometimes a machine's not running and it's not worth taking a sample because it won't be representative. It could be any other number of reasons, but you can check that cannot collect sample, and if on the report, it'll say, for instance, 11 of 12 samples collected. It'll list which were collected and which weren't. So anyways, click save, and that sample has now been linked. So there is about a 10-ish second sync time for that sample to ping to our servers and then to ping back to the app. But if we go back to the dashboard, and we click that button, those three dashes on the top left, you can see there's some menu options here. And then we select sample history. So it already populated to the list. That very top entry there, that is the sample we just took. So that's already populated to the list. It doesn't have a lab ID yet because obviously it hasn't gotten to the lab. But when that sample does get to the lab and begins testing, it'll be assigned a lab ID. And I want to show you something here while we're on the sample history page. If you select any previous sample, you can see all that information that was entered on the links page. And then there's also a lab ID, which means there's a corresponding PDF report. And you can download that directly from this page. You see the download latest report, you just click that. And it brings up the PDF report for this machine. So that'll be in your downloads folder in your phone, even though it opens natively in the app. If for some reason you want to unlink that sample bottle and that machine, we can do that too. You can do that from here. Simply press unsample. And you can see that sample's disappeared from the sample history. So quick summary from the links page, scan a QR code or enter, and that's on a machine tag, which is right here. And by the way, we will send you the tags and the pre-labeled bottles free of charge. These supplies, like all of our supplies, are going to be available on your DataSite program portal in the program management section where you normally order supplies. So linking a machine, you can select an asset either by scanning the QR code machine tag, selecting from the list, or searching by name or equipment ID. And then as far as linking a sample, you can either enter the bottle ID manually. Bottle ID is the number on the bottom of that QR code tag there. Or scanning the QR code itself. So that's the nuts and bolts of linking samples through AssetLink. Now, there's also different ways to kind of slice up and organize the work of taking samples. And there are a few ways to do that. So another option down on the bottom menu is the assets page. So this is exactly what it sounds like. This is a list of the machines in your program. But there are obviously different ways to organize the work, either required by accessibility machines or lines up and not being safe to sample from, etc. So there are a few functions we built into the app to facilitate sampling different machines at different times. So you see these options at the top. These are different pre-filtered options for your list of machines. At the very tip top on the far right is a funnel icon, and those are some more filters. Click that funnel. You can search, you can see on the left, there's plants, routes, and assets. So plants, just like we talked about before, if there are multiple plants, you can select a specific plant there. If you go to assets, you can choose date ranges for when machines were last sampled. If you're not sure, when you begin your inspection route, what may not have been sampled recently, you can pull that information here. You can also search by machine and lubricant conditions. If you're looking for only at-risk equipment, you can find that here. So we can say in the past 360 days, we're looking for only things that are marginal. We don't have any critical equipment at the Strongsville Beer Company. We run a pretty tight ship here. So we'll apply those filters. Well, there was nothing that is both marginal for both critical, or I'm sorry, both machine and lubricant condition, but let's look for just marginal lubricant condition. Okay, so these are the two machines that have shown marginal lubricant condition in the date range that we selected was the past year. And go back to that filter, you could see that little red dot. That means there's a filter applied. If we go back to the filter and we press reset, it's going to remove that filter. So now we're going to talk about routes. Routes are one of the functions that tie into your DataSite program portal, and it's really simply a list of machines that you choose that would correspond to one inspection route. So we have a pre-populated list here, the brewery route. So if we select that and apply, it's going to take us back to the assets page, and these are the machines that are on the brewery route. So there were 9 machines total in the program. There's 7 on this route. Routes are pretty easy to populate. If you are interested, if you go to data site and go to the help section, there's a little video that shows you how all the different functions work, and routes is one of those functions. But you can also email me after this, and I can direct you how the routes work. So we talked about linking. We talked about organizing the work. Another thing you can do within AssetLink is you can update equipment information, and that's not limited to that links page. You can do that from the assets page here. So we can select any machine. We'll select the 60 grain outlet gearbox, and there's a lot of information right here that you can update. And something that wasn't previously available on our data site was the pictures. You can see at the top, there's a photo of the sampling location of this machine. And you can also see on the top right, next to asset details, there's a pencil icon, your standard edit icon. If we select edit, we can update any of the information on this page, including the pictures. So if you click that camera icon, it's going to give you the opportunity to either take a picture directly from your camera or upload an image from your photo library. You can also delete the photo that's there. And then all the information we were just looking at can be updated here. That's asset name, machine number, equipment ID. If you want to enter sampling instructions, that can be done here. And the way our team likes to use this app in the field is they'll take at least two pictures. They'll take one kind of wide angle picture of the machine so it can be identified on approach. And then they'll take another picture of the specific sampling location. And then give a little further detail. You can add sample instructions here. Now, we talked about the geolocation being linked to a sample. We made the decision to not update it on the machine level, just in case samples are edited or changed later in an area that's away from the actual machine itself. So if you want to add the geolocation to the machine, you can do that here. You just tap that waypoint icon and the location is added automatically. And this is all, scrolling down, this is all the information that we keep in our database. Manufacturer, model, if there's a route that's listed here. The machine type, which will also tell you the tag number, the port type, and sample source rating. This is something that's helpful for our analyst team in case there's a particularly dirty sample or high water or something like that. The sample source can shed a little bit of light on why that might be. The criticality rating is something more for your purposes, but if you're trying to prioritize equipment within the program and when to sample and how frequently, we offer the criticality rating. You can update the fluid here and just click save and everything is updated in our database. And from this asset details page, you can also download the most recent report, just like we did earlier with that other machine. You can also update the machine tag. So you can see you just press tag, scan a new tag. Underneath the machine in there, 60 grain outlet gearbox, you can see that tag we just scanned is now the tag number that's associated with this machine. And one other feature I want to show you on the far right there, you see that little place icon. You punch that, that's a shortcut to that sample history specific to this machine. You can scroll down here, all the lab numbers, the machine and lubricant conditions. So a lot of information available at your fingertips, and all of it is updatable. also on the bottom, because I mentioned routes within the filter under assets, but there's a shortcut to routes on the bottom here, which if you select a route, you select continue, that'll be applied directly to your assets list, your work list. Now, a few more features that are available. Those three dashes, we call that our hamburger button. That's kind of our menu options. As far as administering your program, another new feature we built into the app is user management, and that can be done from within the app. So just going to run down the list real quick here. So my account gives you some quick information, your login, which plants and routes you have access to. Customer. In case you break up your database in a way that you have multiple customer accounts, you can select those from this page here, which speeds the app up rather than downloading all the information at once. Manage users is what I was referring to. So say I'm in charge of the Strongsville Beer Company, there's me, but I'm not actually carrying out the sampling. I'm managing the department or the individuals that are carrying out the sampling. I can add other people here. So there are likely going to be other people involved. In this case, there's no one else listed, so I would have to select create new user. But if you had other users that you want to update or change permissions for, you can do that here, but we're going to say create new user. And we can enter our new user here. And what's going to happen is they're going to receive an email. And from that email, they're going to have to enter their registration information. It's basically, they're going to go through the process of registering, getting a new account, just like any new user would. But going through the app is going to ping that email directly to them. And then as soon as Jack goes through that process, Jack will have access to the app. So if we click on Jack there, we can, because we are the administrative user, we can change access for Jack for which plants and routes Jack can access. Because Jack's going to have the power to edit and update things. Maybe Jack's only in charge of one area of the plant, and we don't want to introduce any opportunity for Jack to accidentally change something in another area. And it'll also, part of this also allows speeding up the syncing and the uploading if one person's data is only limited to one section of the plant. So managing users. Plants is similar to customers. You can just drill down specifically to one area of the plant to focus the app in. Sample history we talked about. Generate trip report. So after you've completed your inspection route, your sampling route, you've made some observations and taken some pictures, you might have run into some machines that had something that needed to be addressed immediately. A breather was completely exhausted. There's a seal that was deteriorated and some leakage. You captured that information, you captured the pictures, you typed in the observations. Here's where we select generate trip report. Now, this is the machine that's going to be on the trip report. I'm not going to generate this now because it takes a moment. It does create a somewhat large PDF. It's a few megs at least, and it takes a moment to generate. But what I will do is I will send you a sample or the actual PDF of the trip report that we generated here. And then, of course, we have our privacy policy, our help, sync history down the bottom, right near logout. So there are two features I haven't mentioned yet. And one of them is that this app will work when it's not connected to the internet, allowing that it had been connected when you logged in. So the way the app works is if you have to log in, obviously, to sync up with our server and connect to your database and pull the information to the phone. But then, or I'm sorry, not necessarily phone, but your mobile device. When you log out, or rather if the internet connection is interrupted, all that information is still within the app. The work can continue to be carried out. I can't demonstrate, obviously, but you can work seamlessly if you lose internet connection. And then as soon as you resume internet connection, all that information is going to be pushed to the server. And the reason I'm bringing this up now is because you can make sure that it was pushed because you can check the sync history. So 1107 was the time when I linked that sample. And if we were to link a sample again, it would automatically sync. And then one final feature I want to show you here, we'll log out. So, and this is another feature that came from feedback from our customers. You'll see underneath the login option, it says, or just scan a sample. We're going to select that. And when we send out sample labels to you, there are encrypted identifiers that are encoded that are linked to your account, and these are randomized. They can't be duplicated. But what that allows us to do is, if you're not logged in and you scan, and you scan a bottle that is linked to your account, the app will provide access to your database only to select a machine. So even though we're not logged in, we were able to link a machine. And it might not have synced quite yet. But yeah, that's the sample we just took at the very top. So if for some reason you have to send someone out on the floor, they don't have access to the app, or they haven't registered, it's somebody's first day, and you want to give them something to do that keeps them busy and useful, you can have them download the app, and they can begin sampling right away. So that's the long and short of Eurofins TestOil's new AssetLink. The chat is available if anyone has any questions or comments. I'm going to hop over there and check. I haven't seen any activity in the chat. And while we're waiting for the chat to pop through, this app is available for both Android and Apple devices. I didn't mention it, but it should go without saying, you can use this on any sort of mobile device, tablets, phones, anything that works on an iOS or an Android platform.
So the first question we have, Dave, is can I manage assets from multiple customers?
Thanks, Lewis. And the answer is yes. If you normally have access to multiple customer accounts in our database, then you can get that same access within AssetLink. When you go to register, there's a section you have to freehand type your company name. If it's multiple company names, because you're able to freehand type, you can just enter multiple company names there. And it's possible, if you enter a company name, what actually happens then after you register is someone on our customer engagement team is going to see what you typed. If they're going to go to those accounts, they're going to check that you're already connected to the accounts. If you're not, they'll call or email you to get more information. But yeah, the short answer is that's easy to manage assets from multiple customers within AssetLink. So that's a good question. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next question is, the bottles are not linked to an asset until we link it at the plant, correct? They are not pre-linked to an asset.
That's correct. These bottles are not pre-linked to an asset. And that is, so there is a possibility you could link them before you go out on the floor. You could potentially use the app from an office, but when we send them to you, they're not going to be pre-linked to machines, only to your customer account. And the idea is if you're walking around a plant with a set of bottles, you don't have to go searching and reading for any specific bottle. You just pull one bottle, link it, and then pull your sample. So very good question. Thank you, Tim. Does anyone else? Oh, I see one more.
Yep, one more is coming in. Thank you, Dave, for taking the time to go over this with all of us. And thank you, everyone, for participating and joining us. I know it's always helpful, and I know we all have a million things to do, so we really appreciate that. I just wanted to throw that out while I was waiting for the next question. All right, missed the beginning of the presentation. Will this information be available on your website for future reference? I think you're going to be sending out the recording to the registrants, correct, Dave?
The recording will be available. It might not be in the email I send immediately after the meeting, but it will be available on our YouTube channel. What I am gonna send out is a link to our landing page for AssetLink that has all the information you need to use the app. There's also an email address on that page that you can reach us at, and through that email address, you can communicate with our customer engagement team. And if you want to reach out to me directly, you can do that as well, and I'll get you any information you need to make the most out of using AssetLink. So we finished up a little bit early, and I'm happy to sit and answer any questions. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to know while we're talking about AssetLink?
All right, one more question. Can editing asset info be controlled by permissions? Can you review that again real quick, Dave?
Yes. So I think the spirit of the question is can you manage user access by asset? And the answer, I guess, directly is no. You can. The only way you could really edit asset info permissions would be on the plant level. But if you give someone access to a plant, then they will have access to, or a route or a customer, then they will have the ability to edit those machines and the info connected to those machines. Now, with that said, this is version 1, we'll say, of this app, and we have planned several further releases, and we have a further development pipeline because we were planning on building in continuous improvements. We figured we were going to get more feedback and more suggestions about useful features. And that sounds to me like something that we need to get into our development pipeline for a future release. So that's an excellent question, Louis. I appreciate that. I'm going to put that on our list of features to add to the app. All right, well, if no one else has any other questions, then I'm going to go ahead and conclude the meeting, but I want to thank everyone for attending. It's our pleasure to bring you this tool to incorporate into your sampling and your reliability programs. I want to leave you with this here. This is the landing page. And again, I will send you a link to the landing page and some other information. It's pretty straightforward. The registration process is very quick. The app is available in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store, and you could get the app up and running within minutes. I guess I should conditionally state you do have to be one of our customers to get access to the app, because if you don't have a customer account and you don't have anything in your database, then there's nothing for you to access. So if you're not a customer of ours, I'd be happy to get you in touch with our sales team. Angela is one of our sales leaders. She's a great person to talk to that can explain everything we offer and how we can help you in your reliability programs. So in conclusion, again, thank you very much for your interest and for watching this demonstration. Angela, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that covered it really well. Again, just another thank you to everyone for joining, and let us know if we can help get you guys set up and get things rolling at your site.
All right, thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope to talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.